friends, in this video we are going to be talking about my favorite artist, Claude Monet. Monet was born in 1840 in France. He was an impressionist painter and often painted outdoors. Monet painted beautiful water lilies at his home in Giverny. His water lily paintings consisted of around 40 huge canvases, which he worked on from around 1914 until his death in 1926. 8 of his water lily panels are housed at the Musée de l'Orangerie in Paris. The painting we will be replicating is his famous Japanese bridge over a pond of water lilies, as you can see right here. This is a multi-step project which will require you to let your paint dry before you can assemble. Let's get started. For this project, you're going to need a few different things, depending on what materials you have available to you at home. To make our water lily garden, that's the picture behind those pretty pink flowers, you're going to need either a green crayon or some green oil pastels. You're going to need some watercolor paints. This will also work if you have some washable markers and a piece of tin foil, and you can turn those markers into paint. You're also going to need some pink tissue paper to make your flowers. Now, if you do not have any pink tissue paper at home, that's okay. I'm going to show you how you can make your own. Using a simple coffee filter, we can make our pink tissue paper for our flowers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out a coffee filter on a piece of white paper. Then with a red and a pink marker, you can use both or just one, I'm going to color that coffee filter. Now, I don't need to color in every tiny little piece of it. It's okay if you have white spaces. Once I'm done coloring, I'm then going to get my coffee filter wet. So if you have a spray bottle, you can use that, or you can use just a paintbrush with some water on it. Now I'm going to spray that coffee filter and let all those colors start to run together. Once it's all wet, I'm going to leave it to dry and start on the next part of the project. For the next part of the project, or your background, you're going to need a piece of white paper, those green crayons, or green oil pastels. Now, both methods work. You're also going to need some watercolors or those marker watercolors we talked about. If you use oil pastels, your picture will look something like this. And if you use crayons, it'll look something like this. Both are equally as beautiful, so whatever method you want to use is fine with me. I'm going to be showing you oil pastels. So with my green oil pastel, I'm going to draw almost like a rainbow shape across my paper. And I want that to be a medium thickness line. Then I'm going to draw one more. Now this one can either be above or below. I'm going to go above. And then I'm going to draw some lines down to connect the two. Those are the kind of like the railing of the bridge that holds it all together. If you do have 2 different color crayons or oil pastels, you can come back in and enhance that area by adding those 2 tones. Now I'm going to work on the grass. At the bottom of my paper, I'm going to make some lines to make some grass. Much like we're standing on the shore looking out at this pond and the bridge. Now water lilies are actually one of my favorite flowers. Come back in with some of that light green. The last step before we put our paint on is to draw those lily pads. So all they are circle shapes in your pond, and you don't want them too big. And actually some can be above the bridge, and you can use 2 different colors for that. Once you're all done coloring, you're going to paint. Using your watercolors or your marker watercolor paint, you're just going to get your colors wet. So I'm going to use blue and actually some purple. Now, if you don't have either of those paints or markers at home, you could actually use some liquid paint. You just water it down a lot so it becomes quite thin. So I'm going to come in with that blue, and I don't want this to be super dark. And I'm just going to brush over where I colored. Come in with some purple. Now all the colors we're using for this project, for the water, for the grass, are all cool colors, right? They're very calming. Spread those out. And when you're happy with what you have, you're going to let that dry. So once both of your pictures are dry, you're going to use some scissors and glue sticks to make your flower. Take your dried coffee filter off your paper. Now it has left a print on that paper, and I suggest you keep this for maybe another art activity you might want to do, because it's actually kind of pretty. You're going to take your coffee filter and you're going to cut it in half and then into small little triangles. Now you don't need all of the flowers that could come from your coffee filter, but I find if you take those small triangles and you cut them in half one more time so you have a top and a bottom piece, those make flowers that kind of are fitting to this size paper. Once you have them all cut out, you're going to take your paper and you're going to crinkle it up. Now you don't want the ball to be too small because you do want your flowers to still have some texture to them. And then you're simply going to glue it down wherever you'd like on your paper. Now, if you did have pink tissue paper at home and did not use the coffee filter method, you would just simply rip off some small pieces of the pink tissue, crinkle it up, and stick it down with some glue. Now, like I said, this project is a little bit more involved, but if you take your time, I know you're going to come up with something amazing. I hope you have a lot of fun creating your very own water lily garden. Have fun, guys!